last week I talked about the personal zones profile, and I also posted a very short assessment. And basically, it's only 10 questions. And if you haven't done it, I would really, really encourage you to do it. It's very quick, won't take you a lot of time. And that assessment will actually show you what zone you're in. How close are you to living your life mostly in the flow or in the green zone, if you will? They kind of basically mean the same thing. So I encourage you, it's not too late, take the assessment, 10 questions. It's fairly easy to answer, and then see where you are when it comes to being in the flow most of the time, all the time, sometimes, or so far away from it. Today, we're going to talk about the life analysis. And the life analysis will actually show you a picture of who you actually are, who you are being. And what goes with that is your mindset. And what do we know about mindset? Well, your mindset is basically a mindset is fixed. It's the way you think about something. So, on the life analysis, there are 6 attributes that you need to be in the flow, in the zone, green zone, in order to get the most optimum results for your life. And the answers to the questions that we ask on the life analysis is really based on your mindsets and who you see, how you see yourself. And it's from your answers. So the 6 attributes are very quickly. The first attribute is basically the ability to know. And this is what the life analysis looks like. And the first column is that ability to know column right here. If you can zoom into this, and the ability to know is really based on your knowledge. It's based on not whether or not you have a degree or, whether or not you have a PhD, but it's based on what you know and can you take your knowledge and apply it and get a great result, basically. And if you can, you should be getting what you want. The ability to know positions you. Okay, so I want to take somebody in the sports area that has a huge ability to know in the game of golf, and that's Tiger Woods. Most everybody knows Tiger Woods. And if you look at when he first started out and he started winning all the tournaments, basically he had a lot of knowledge, and he still does in the game of golf. And he's very green zone in the flow, if you will. How do we know that? Very simply, his results, his stats. So that positioned him in a very high level game. Why? Well, because when you can take your knowledge and apply it and get what you want, I mean, people around the world wanted Tiger to play in his tournaments. So that's a great example of the ability to know. When you start out in a brand new area or subject, something you've never done before, where are you going to be? Well, you're going to be in that red zone. Why? Well, because typically you don't have all the information that you need. It's new. There's a lot of unknowns. So don't be alarmed. That's just the why. So understanding the life analysis really, really gives you a lot of knowledge to set you up to be in the right place at the right time, doing the right things. The next column is the ethics column. It's the second column. And that is just basically your commitment to use what you know. If you're in the green zone, if you will, right place, right time, doing what you love, also some people refer to it as being in the flow, it just means that you are taking your knowledge, you're committed to using your knowledge, committed to using what you know to help others. You typically feel friendly. The third column is utilization of power. That's right here. If we can zoom in, that utilization of power is what are you doing with all of your energy? How are you using your power? A great question to ask yourself is, who are you investing in? What are you investing in? Are you getting a return on that investment? Some of us get stuck in that yellow zone, if you will. I see a lot of people getting stuck in the yellow zone. And I want you to think about having like the fastest race car possible that you can have. And let's just say that that car will go 250 miles an hour, okay? When you're in the red zone, you're completely stopped. You're actually backing, you've got the car in reverse. You're backing away from that big dream and that want or that goal that you have. And instead of going toward it, you're actually backing away from it. When you're in the yellow zone, it's kind of like you're wanting to go forward. If you're in the low yellow zone, you're still backing away. If you're in the high yellow zone, you're wanting to go forward. And it always reminds me of when I was learning to drive a car at the age of 15. You know, I can remember getting in trouble by my parents all the time when I was learning how to accelerate, and then I would ride the brake. And they would say, get your foot off the brake. You're riding the brake. So it's very similar to when you're in the yellow zone. It's like you restrain yourself. You're restraining your power. So if you find yourself restraining your power, just take a look at when does that start happening? When does that occur? What are you doing? Is it talking to a different kind of person that maybe you see somebody in an authoritative position, or maybe it's someone that you see that has more knowledge than you and you feel intimidated or smaller? But look and see, when do you find you're restraining yourself? Is it just speaking out and taking a position? So that would really, really, really help you start to spot what's causing you to restrain your power. One thing that is very, very common is a lot of times people restrain their power because they are afraid that if they really turn on their power and use it, that they will misuse it. So sometimes they find themselves having a fear of power. But when you're in the green zone, it's like you have got that car. Think about the car that will go 250 miles an hour. You've got that car in drive and you have got your foot on the pedal and you are going for it. So that's about utilization of power. What are you doing with your life force particles, your energy? Are you stopped? Are you slowed down? Are you restraining yourself? Or are you going for it? And then the next column is the size of gain. Now, the size of gain is strictly what role are you taking? Not exactly what role, but part of it is. The size of game is how big of a game do you want to play? In order to be a big you have to be have a game big enough that will let you take on that role. So on the size of game, that's going to be connected to, are you restraining yourself? Are you restraining your power? How are you using what you know, which is your ethics, and then that ability to know. Size of game is like if you're yellow zone, it's kind of so-so status quo. But if you're playing a really, really big game, one that empowers others, how worthwhile the game is, it's really, those are the components connected to what size of game are you playing. The next column is the self column, and self is that identity that you create. And it includes your ability to know how you're using your knowledge, which is ethics. How are you going to use your power? Are you restraining yourself? Are you restraining all that potential that you have? And then the size of game that you want to play. You know, when I think about a size of game, just take the game of football, the NFL, okay? And just say that you wanted to play football. Well, you know, there's many roles you could take, you might want to take. I mean, do you want to sell popcorn in the stands, or do you want to be the number one coach? Okay. Or would you rather be, oh, that's too much pressure on me, I would rather be the second in command when it comes to being the coach? Or do you want to be the guy that owns a football stadium? Or do you just want to be a spectator on the sideline and just watch the game? You know, really. So what kind of role, what kind of identity do you want to be in the game that you're playing or the games you're playing? But that's all created by you. And as you expand your games, oftentimes, you need to basically upgrade that identity, improve that identity. There's other things you need to know that you haven't known before in order to basically upgrade the identity, empower it so that you can play a bigger game because you typically need more knowledge. And then lastly, we add up all of these scores here, and then we get the last column, which is interfacing. And interfaces has a lot to do with how much harmony. And harmony will be, do you have a lot of harmony within yourself or do you have a lot of conflict? Okay. If you have a lot of conflict, that's going to cause you to attract and put yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time. If you're kind of like so status quo, you're going to be more yellow zone. And then if you're in the green zone, if you will find yourself being able, you'll seem real lucky. You'll find yourself being in the right place at the right time, doing the right things with the right people, and just feel like, oh my gosh, I've got a stroke of luck, or I'm really, really in a great space, because you'll be getting what you want. Also, in that flow, there'll be an ease to it. So the way we would determine these results, and an analysis is phenomenal to see what's going on with you. There's 100 questions that you fill out. The answers are yes, no, or maybe. And obviously, mindset is the key here on how you feel about yourself. And on that life analysis, that's based on your whole entire beingness. That is about you. It can change. It can be different. You may feel on top of your game now, but maybe back in January, oh my gosh, you felt like you were at the bottom. You didn't even know where you were, what you were doing, where you wanted to go. So that is the value of the life analysis. I did my first one in 1999, and I would never, ever forget. I was very honest when I answered the questions. And when I saw my results, I just started to cry because they were very, very truthful. And when I remember when I sat down with the person to go over those results, I mean, all the questions that they helped me, that they asked me and helped open up the area, helped me see why maybe this column was the way it was, where if it was in red zone, they asked me questions so I could see, oh, what's affecting that, or what has affected that. So with that, go back, fill out the assessment we sent in last week, see where you're at. That's a great starting point. And I look forward to seeing you next week, because we're going to talk about your skills. What are you doing? And the skills always have to do with who you're being, because it's you be it and then you do it. And then you get your wants and your needs, hopefully, if you're being a great green zone person or identity or role that you're playing. Thanks so much. Have a great week.